Hey guys, Mike Scully here from Casually Converts. I've got a student and a great friend of mine, Alex Momeni, on the call with me. We're going to go through, have a conversation with him today about his experience. In the past year, we've been working together. He's grown magnificently. So, Alex, care to introduce yourself, man?
Hey Mike, how's it going? Happy to be here. And man, it's been a wild ride this past year. And I've just like you've taught me a lot on this journey. And it's just been, I think every day, every week, every month, it's just been just leveling up constantly. So,
Yeah,
hey man, I thank you for all that you've taught me.
absolutely. It's good to be working with you. It's been a pleasure. I'm curious to know more about your background and your journey to kind of get to this point of where you're at today.
Okay, so I'm currently 33. So about if we go back, we're gonna go back a bit further. If we go back 10 years ago, getting out of college, like after, like 2008 financial crisis, it was like 2014. I did a semester abroad in Singapore and Hong Kong, and I knew at that time I wanted to do something more in the realm of Amazon FBA drop shipping. So after college, I moved to China. I was there for 2.5 years working for some like sourcing companies, manufacturing, as well as, having some odd jobs here and there and then just starting my Amazon FBA business from the ground up. So that taught me a lot in terms of just online business, FBA, dealing with suppliers, manufacturers as well. And so that got to a place where I ended up earning like a very sizable income from that. And I ended up leaving China, living in Thailand for a year, then spending some time in Taiwan. And so that was all gravy. But then I realized with physical products, drop shipping, Amazon FBA, it's just so capital intensive. So you make money up, but up to a certain point, then you just got to reinvest back in the business. And I just realized I was getting way more stress, which is part of any business model you do, honestly. Then after launching significant amount of products, I was just having like products that just weren't doing as well. And at the same time, I had about 4 years in Asia. I was turning around 28. Now back to New York, my family has a wholesale rug company. So I saw my dad who was getting a bit older family was kind of asking me to like come back and join. So I thought, okay, I learned a lot in 4 years in Asia, online business. We're wholesale, but it's also still online and manufacturing. So, easy thing to jump into. So going from Asia back to New York City was pretty wild. Definitely a bit of a culture shock going back to the States after 4 years in Asia. So that was pretty crazy as well. But, COVID happened, a lot of things happened, but I felt like after a certain point, I learned a lot while I was in Asia, trying a lot of new things. But when I was back into a 9 to 5 job, I felt things getting very stagnant. And I feel like my growth was you're just kind of just like going through the motions, the same thing every day. And I found myself kind of just really plateauing a lot. And the one saving grace was that doing Amazon in Asia, also at that time, I was building Shopify websites. So I started a few different brands, some on my own, some with some friends as well and I got really good at building Shopify sites. So around COVID time, my family we decided to redesign our website, and we took it from some agency that was hosting our site to just I just took on the whole project by myself. We had about 10,000 SKUs. My goal was just launch the site within 2 months on Shopify. I hired an old friend of mine as well. So me and him just got cracking like night and day for 2 months, just building the site. And we launched it in just under 2 months. And so that was a huge success with a lot of our customers, clients, sales reps, company wide. I think it really just took our branding to the next level. And so that was something I was very proud of. And then since then, I've been moving around doing different things in the company. Like we rebuilt our warehouse in Atlanta, Georgia. I spent some time there. But after a big project like doing the website and setting up our new warehouse, I got to a point where like I didn't want to just go back into the 9 to 5 grind of just like, just still doing the Amazon stuff. I was just getting very tired of it. And I really felt I just needed new skills. And I spent a couple months trying to figure out, really contemplating like, hey, am I missing something? I remember after doing the warehouse, I go to Morocco to visit my girlfriend and then Paris with her and my cousin. And it was nice having that break. And that was just before we met. So that was like December, January. And then, okay, then spending some time to think. And then I think, okay, I think what I'm missing is just more skills, just more awareness. I see AI is becoming a big thing. And then I remember I go back to the US and then I think that first or second week, I find you on Twitter. And I'm like, okay, this guy, I think Mike, he seems like he knows a lot of things. He knows a lot of skills, a lot of different ways. And I think, okay, I just really need to level up and see what is the possibility. And I knew already, I saw you were talking about websites, landing pages, and I had a lot of experience in Shopify specifically. So I thought, okay, that was one of the things I was most passionate about while working with my family. So I thought, okay, let's just make that jump. And then, yeah, since then, starting with you, it's just been a wild ride and journey. And if you want to, I can get into it more, but if you want to, then yeah, go from there.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic, man. I mean, you've had an absolutely what looks like a crazy life. That entrepreneur mindset was seems to have always been there a little bit, right? Doing different things, Shopify, Amazon FBA, and so on, and to now, landing pages
Mhm.
for all your clients, right? And you're growing consistently, constantly, right? Now, I'm curious, what made you come on board with me over anyone else? Because there's a lot of people helping others. There's a lot of, let's say, gurus out there and so on. So yeah, what was that deciding factor? We actually had a couple of calls before. We at least had one call before we even spoke about the coaching and the potential of that. I remember.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's funny to say that. And this is something we've had a couple conversations recently. I think it's about the whole niching down at a certain point. So
Mm,
I feel like I see a lot of people like online coaches, whatnot, do this, do that. But I like that you were specifically landing pages. And I think with my background experience with building websites in the past on Shopify, whatnot, I was like, okay, like I've actually like I built some landing pages in the past on some other tools, like I remember Shogun in the past, whatnot. And so I thought, okay, like if it's something, I like, I still have this job, this day job I'm doing, but like landing page, it seems a less time intensive than building out a whole website for a company or for someone.
mm,
So I like that. It's that what you were offering sounded very lean in you were always positioning things very actionable. So I like that's what I love about you is very actionable, where I feel like a lot of coaches they get into very woo woo, wah wah, very esoteric kind of things. You don't know
mm.
what they're saying. They're saying a whole lot of hot garbage, but you were very actionable and it really spoke to me. And yeah, definitely, speaking to the pain points as well. And I think the time frames too, you can get going within a few months or whatnot. And I was in a position where I wasn't like desperate or hungry but I wanted to do something new just to broaden myself, broaden my horizons and just find also another income source as well.
That's the thing as well with social media and selling anything online, right? I was essentially in front of you at that right point when you wanted to learn a new skill and you wanted to progress in your career. And that's the exact same with no matter with anything you're selling, landing pages, copywriting, funnels, automations, it doesn't matter. If you're in front of that potential client and that prospect at the right time and the right day and it makes sense, then you can secure a client that way. So that's a little tip for anyone that's watching, right? It's consistency then makes all that difference. Because if I hadn't been posting for a couple of weeks in that period where you were looking, researching, you wouldn't have found me, and that would have been the end of our journey before it even began. Right. So I'm curious, Alex, how was your experience being with me, with the program, with everyone involved in it? And yeah, take it away.
I think with any experience, like with any coach too, especially, it's all about what you. There's definitely the initial things you get, but it's all about what you put into it. I truly
Mhm.
believe
Yeah.
what you put in, you'll get back. So what I like is that from right to get go, you had a lot of course modules, a lot of stuff. So it was just, I feel like that first specifically 2 weeks, 2 weeks, month was just like a lot of information just
Mhm.
getting to my brain. It was all there. I just had to take action on it, and I did see results. Within 2 months, I got to 1,000 followers on Twitter. I was able to get my first client relatively quickly. So through Twitter. So I found that very beneficial. And I think a lot of those quick wins just kind of stack up. I remember when I had like 2 followers, getting to 10 followers, I was like, wow. And then from 10 to 50, then 100. And then, at this point, like 1,000 feels like nothing because then,
Because you're
but
on how much now?
yeah, it just crossed 10K, which
Thank
is
you.
in just under a year too. So,
Okay.
and then I think, there's a lot of the tools that you provide, which are fantastic that I use. And then I think going beyond that, then I think you kind of give people the roadmap and kind of that runway. And
Mm.
then after that, then it's like, okay, like I realized, okay, there's a lot more things I thought I knew about design. I'm going to practice more on, and then copywriting, and then even sales, and then even getting into from that, it's getting into cold email, which you help with as and other outbound strategies. So I think I feel like everything with you was kind of just like the seed that then just kind of took off. And of course, that's a lot of like, doing weekly calls with you every week, but also, staying on top of yourself and just making sure, okay, like this business doesn't work unless you do.
Completely agree. Like I can give you absolutely everything, but you've been very, very proactive with everything that I can provide you with, and even going above and beyond. Doing your own research, doing other things outside this, right? What's always amazes me, and I've been speaking to Luke about it recently. You're a learner. You really are. But the most important part of that is, most people are learners and consumers. You actually take it to the next level and create and actually take the action. That's where most people don't. So a lot of people have the knowledge, but they don't take action based off
Mhm.
that knowledge. And that's the difference between someone that will fail and someone that's successful. And then the consistency and the roller coaster that comes in between all of that, right? Because there are ups and downs. There definitely are. But you kind of mentioned your results there as well. You've had a ton of clients and 10,000 followers in a year. I want to see you potentially triple that in the next year. I think you can. We're going to work on that, and we're working on scaling you at the moment. We're having some conversations about that just before recording this, right? So, anything you've learned in this past year, or do you think you've changed as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of it goes back to I I think I mean I'm in my 30s now, I'm in 33. So I feel like that time when I was selling when I was in Asia doing my own business then was the time I felt the most alive. And
Mm,
that's how I feel now. And I think a lot of that too was when you're working as your own entrepreneur, solopreneur, you can just go a lot faster. And sometimes you need to go fast to go far. And when you're working with big organizations, I think going back to a 9 to 5 after that, I feel like there was a part of me that was kind of just getting very, I didn't feel as alive anymore. And so I think I realize now with the experience, my past experience seeing both, like, okay, what makes me feel alive, what doesn't? And then doing this whole experience with you, it's like, okay, I know that you got to just every day show up, make a plan, just attack it. Cause it's just, I know what happens if you don't attack it. And if you don't attack it, you feel bad about yourself, resentment, and then you just regret. And then it's just like, no, every day you got to show up and just go for it. So
yeah.
yeah.
And like for the audience, I'm 25 years old. I started when I was 23, almost 24. I wish I started earlier. Everyone wishes they started earlier, right? So
Mhm.
there's no point waiting and hesitating. You are the age you are, you're at where you're at. You may as well just start now. There's no looking back then, and there's no regrets, right? Because if I had to go back to a 9 to 5, the first thing I'm doing is working on a business on the side. I'm getting out of there as quick as possible. So yeah, I'm curious, what are your future plans, and where do you think you can get to with this business and scaling, and just your future in general?
Yeah, so my future really is just scaling this a lot more this year. Just I've really recently started hiring more employees and VAs. Just kind of just I'm really just focusing more on the sales side of things, outbound as well, and
Mm,
adding more services to my offering as well. So I'm very focused on right now is e-commerce brands, Shopify, as well as some of the businesses too that I enjoy working with. I think at this point I've worked with a lot of different niches. And so I see some that works better for me that I enjoy working with. So I think just continuing working with those types of clients and niches. And then also just kind of just also hiring out more parts of my team and automating more of my processes. And that's really my goal to scale. And the goal this year is, 2x things, triple X things, and really just managing time too, because
mm.
definitely I have some months where it can get just really chaotic and, managing like health, fitness, life. I'm also me and my wife were having two weddings coming up. So two weddings on two continents. So it's just managing all this business, employees, VAs, two weddings, driving in different cities, meeting event planners. It's a lot all at once. So I think yeah, I realized I should have done it sooner is just hiring, more processes out. But that's one thing I'm starting to do now as the business is getting more consistent and stable at the same time.
Yeah, and sometimes you actually do need to do that. You need to take a step back, hire someone that can help you to take 2 steps forward or 3 steps forward. I think that's important. And you do have, yeah, you have the weddings coming up as well. And I'm absolutely delighted for you, stoked for you. I've seen, even throughout this past year, I feel like I've seen a lot of your transitioning. You're almost growing up in a way with your future wife and your fiance currently. And it's been an absolute pleasure to see that, and as well, of course, see the business grow, right? So yeah, definitely this year we want to be honest, I want to 3 exit with you. I want to help you get to that point and have you just sail off into the sunset, right? That's the goal essentially. So we'll be working on all of that. If also you mentioned Shopify and Replo and all that. If anyone watching this has a Shopify brand, e-commerce, whatever, Alex's socials will be in the description. So check that out if you do need work from him. He is absolutely talented. I had to trust him with all my stuff. So yeah, definitely check that out as well. But Alex, what final kind of point here? What would you tell anyone that's unsure about joining myself and Casually Convert as a program?
I think honestly, just get into it. Just start. I know when you're first starting out, there's a lot of fear of like you're really in the how to, how do I do this? How do I do that? But a lot of it also is like the why. I think if you,
Mm,
the why is the most important thing. You have a strong why, then I think working with Mike, like you kind of pretty much all the things you need to get started, you have all the hows. So like as long as your why is there, just start with Mike because I'm telling you, within like that first week, month, like you'll know all the things you need to do. And I think the message from you, Mike, has always been the same from day one. It's just a matter of can the person implement it and do it. So like all the stuff was there for me. It was just okay, like, I just got to do it and take action. So I believe that I know if it's something you're seriously thinking of or even just pondering, get on a call with Mike, just take action, just do it. Because really it's the person who you can become a year from now. Like you have no idea who that person is. It can be way bigger like than you can even imagine. And I mean, even me, like I feel like there's still even more I could have done, but just I'm glad I started a year ago and now I can look back on like, wow, thank God I started last year. Because if I tried to do that now, it would have been like, I feel like it would have been way too late now in a way,
mm.
So just start today, just do it now.
Absolutely. The less hesitation, the better, and just take action. So, Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to our future together and working continuously together and helping scale you beyond where you're at now. So, thank you for coming on this. Take care, man.
Thanks, Mike. Likewise.